Wednesday. It's 9:57.
The Nightline or something? Nightline.
Yeah, I felt like I needed something, but I didn't have it. How about
show before the show?
Ken Brockman.
Oh, you have that?
This is all I got.
This is like the Ken Brockman pre-show intro by Goes. Continue.
That's Dan Tom.
Hey.
That's Danny Olkers. It's in Nueva York.
That me.
Nerds!
And that's George. You can't really see him, but he's here. Just walk by.
He's like a ninja.
Uh-oh. He wore the jersey today.
Uh-oh. Big guns are coming out.
Easy, Danny. Casino in here. There's got kids walking around.
What's happening?
George claims to be... I don't know if he says he's the king of tic-tac-toe, but I think he said he'll never lose a game of tic-tac-toe.
Oh, so he can... He basically... He might not win it, but he'll definitely stop somebody else from winning it. You'll be in a stalemate? Is that what he means?
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Is that what you mean?
Hey, Jimmy.
Gotta love when programs change their format completely on the fly.
Now we're just talking about tic-tac-toe. Welcome into Tic-Tac-Toe Junkie.
Yay. Yay. Major points. Any of you guys seen the original Silence of the Lambs, Manhunter, in the 80s?
There was a movie?
Oh, yeah.
I read part of the book.
Oh, it's great. Oh,
Remember
it's
when they
great.
used to make you read it in junior high? Like, did you guys ever have that? 15
Yeah.
minutes a
We
day?
had... In elementary school, we had Book It. Coming up in 30.
Read a lot of the
We had to
scare
read.
stuff.
Do you remember Book It, where you had to read and you'd get like free towards personal pan pizzas at Pizza Hut?
No.
If you read, you didn't have that. You had a button that had a bunch of stars on it, and every time your teacher would give you a star, and when you filled up the pin, you'd bring it to Pizza Hut, and they'd give you a personal pizza for free.
No.
We didn't have cool teachers, Danny.
Oh, all right.
Why are
stand
you
by.
so surprised? We grew up in different states.
I know,
different
but it
eras.
was so integral to my life. Stand by. Coming up.
It's like my friend Joe Gonzalez. You don't know him?
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMAjunkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes. This is what we do and why we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMAjunkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communication stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMAjunkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMAjunkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMAjunkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Race and Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMAjunkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes. To my left, it's Dan Tom. Back east, Danny Olkers. What's up, guys?
What up?
Much.
No titles.
Good morning.
You guys are just human beings
Just
with
people?
names. Yes.
I like it.
All right.
I'm a person.
I'm rarely called by my real name.
Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Mom calls you Brian. You'll hear that a few times.
Yeah.
She's here for a few days. Yeah. All right. It's hump day.
Brian.
You see them
Happy
already?
hump day. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they showed up. Dad's already snoozing. He was taking a nap. And Mom was watching CNN, hanging out with Max the JRT.
Max the dog. The dirty dog.
Dirty dog.
This baseball game's live, huh?
Yeah.
What? I thought it was only usually the Cubs that played that early.
I think the Cardinals do from time to time. Or no, the Reds.
The Reds. Okay, so this literally is, well, I guess if it started now. Oh, no, they're in the fourth inning. It started at 9. It's noon in Baltimore. So I guess it's one of those executive games they call them, where you just take half a day and head to the ballpark.
I'd prefer a game like that
cool.
if I was a ball player. I don't know about you guys. You get more time to get a dinner in, or I don't know if ball players are still old school and go out drinking and partying. But more time for that too.
Fuck no. Well, I mean, I think they do, but I get a dinner.
You just gotta swing a bat.
But if you're a West Coast team, imagine
headers.
flying in and playing at 9 a.m. Like,
Yeah. No, good point. Yeah, it's a good point.
if you're an East Coast team, I don't know. I think I like the whole wake up, go through a routine, maybe a little pre-workout, take that nap, and then boom, come in ready to play some ball. Maybe it's a double header. Sometimes they have those.
Yeah.
And they got to start one of them off early.
Yesterday, somebody came within
That girl
5
looks like
outs
Carolina.
of a perfect game.
Perfect game.
Yeah. The Padres.
So that's when you face 27 batters. Because you can throw a no-hitter but still walk somebody. So
you could
you
lose
would have
a no-hitter.
faced 28 at that point. The team could. Well, yeah, I guess you could if the other guy throws one
if
too.
if you walk them.
Right. It's rare. You know what's even more rare is the triple play and the cycles. Hitting for the cycle is a single, a double, a triple, and a home run. That and a triple play, I believe, is even more rare than a home run. But I'm not positive, so don't.
It's gotta be.
Don't take it to the bank.
This morning I'm a little blood red mad.
Oh.
Because I don't know how long PF Chang's has been around, but I feel like it's been around a good while.
Yeah, it has.
And when it first came out, it was kind of a craze. You remember, like, everybody wanted to go there.
Goes. I may have to slam what you're about to say.
Good. It might be good.
Okay.
What? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yesterday you claimed you've never been.
I've never been.
Whoa.
Do you remember?
I've never been. I know it for a fact.
Well, listen to this. May have been cheesecake. But do you remember when Mom had a birthday? It was in the late 90s. And I had met some friends for a happy hour.
Yeah.
But then I showed up late to the birthday. I was buzzed.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a PF Chang's
No,
at the
that
Spectrum?
was the Mexican place. What was it called? Javier's?
No, Javier's. No, Javier's open.
Yeah,
like
it was
10 years
Javier's.
later or something like that. I'm positive.
Oh, no.
wasn't
Then it was
Javier's.
Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah, either cheesecake or PF Chang's. You sure it wasn't PF
I'm
Chang's?
positive. It would be like me trying to talk you into saying that you've seen Star Wars.
Guess you're right.
It's just been my arch nemesis since the beginning.
Wookiee
People
Solo.
all wanted to go there, and I just remember asking one person, and they go, "Oh man, that place is shit." And then I just stuck in my head, and I was like, "Yeah, why do I want to go there? It's shit." And then other people would kind of come around and go, "No, man, it's actually really good." And then I'd start going, "All right," and then somebody else would say it's shit. Well, finally, I came around to where I wanted to go, and George said we were going to go there today, and I asked Danny Okers. I go, "Hey, what do you think I should order?" And he goes, "It's not that good." Fuck. I asked the next person. I asked Dante Morgan.
What I said, by the way.
Well, kind of. You were just like, it's like, what'd you say? It's like McDonald's, but like a step above or something like that?
Here's what I said. I tried to make I said if a normal Chinese food restaurant in any strip mall is like the equivalent of McDonald's, PF Chang's is like the equivalent of a good sit-down burger place. It's still
So it's like Red Robin.
a burger. Yeah, it's still like a burger and fries. It's still Chinese food, but it's just better ingredients. I
So
guess.
then what's above that then? So what's gourmet Chinese food then?
Well, let me say this then, if I may.
Okay.
I'm not a Chinese food expert. I rarely go to it, but I do like this spot. But I have an easy palate to please, I guess, when it
Okay.
comes to that. It sounds to me like it's red, like Olive Garden-ish, where, like Danny said, at the airport, you know how there's a Sparrow, or there's just a local pizza place, and so this is a little bit more sit down, and you just have more meals. But then, of course, you're gonna get hardcore Italian people that go, "That's not Italian, but this is Italian. But you got to go to Gino's downtown, whatever." I think the same thing. I think what happened was when it came out, it was a splash. It was the thing to do. It was different. It was good. But I think what happens with your Red Robins, your Olive Gardens, at some point they're like, "Hey, we're gonna stay alive. We gotta skim on quality," and then eventually
It's what Domino's and Pizza Hut did.
Yeah, you start to realize this isn't as good as it once was, or maybe it's in your head. Who knows?
Okay.
Some restaurants can stand the test of time, like Cheesecake. We mentioned that they still happen to be around. But I'll tell you what, these places are always packed. Everyone always bags on Olive Garden and Cheesecake and the other ones, like, "Oh, Played Out, Yard House. No, you got to go to this. You got to go to that." But every time I do wind up going to those, they're still packed. Now, of course, it could be simple palate people like myself. who knows what. I do get talked into every once in a while. What you got to do is go to Gino's, or you got to go here. And I've been to a lot of like ritzy places,
Right?
and I've been to like these specialty places, and I rarely come out going, "Fuck, man, I've been missing it this whole time." I just come out going, "Well, it was a steak, it was good, but why pay $100 when I can get it for 40 or 30 or whatever?" Yeah, that sandwich you're talking about, it was all right. Take it easy, pipe down a little. And I went to Chinese food in Frisco. I had to go, when I was in San Francisco, Juliet, we had to go down into a basement restaurant in Chinatown. So I was thinking, all right, they're going to fucking bring it here,
Right,
you know?
Yeah.
It was all right. It was good, but like, you know,
Right.
so yeah, because I think you're gonna like it, and then that's gonna be the end of it.
You know Matt, right? You know Matt.
Yes.
Okay, he went to culinary school, and we kind of like the same things. He likes good restaurants, and he said it was pretty good. Then I asked Dante Morgan this morning. I go, I'm going to P.F. Chang's. What should I get? He says, get lost. I don't like that place. I can't win with this place. So today, if you're gonna call in, just tell me yes or no. Is it good? What, Dan?
Does anybody maybe want the half Chinese guy's
we don't wanna be
opinion on the
racist.
panel? The guy who's been to China, the guy who grew up on these foods, to kind of put in perspective for you guys.
Sure.
Because everybody's hitting on right tones, but here's why you're all off, and I'm going to put it in just an easy thing. First of all, the reason why P.F. Chang's exists, there really is. They are high end, whether you want to like it or not. Because if you're only going to go high end above that, you're having to go like David Chang's and Momofuku in like New York. Like you're having to go to like real special spots. And the reason why it is high end, or it's in its own thing, whether you agree with it or not, it's because the Chinese don't even classify that as Chinese food. They don't classify Panda Express. They don't classify what is considered between Panda Express and P.F. Chang's, which is Pei Wei, which is part owned by P.F. Chang's. That's why there's a lot of similarities of their dishes. Chinese don't even consider that. So I would get made fun of because they by a lot of relatives going, that's not real Chinese food, because they would be more like George was saying, the basement spots. Now, those are kind of a little different palates, so you're going to be a little more hit and miss. So that's why even George, or even myself, who grew up on it, I'm more like kind of George's response when I go into those quote-unquote basement spots. I'm more, and I'm Chinese, and I grew up on those spots, so no shame in that. But just kind of explaining the differences. Where you guys fall on the palate, nah, I'm not shaming anybody for that, man. There's a lot of Chinese food that I don't like. I'm not that guy. Like, you have to like it. But I just kind of explaining the reason why these P.F. Chang's are so prominent, they're so packed, because there is no competing market for it. There never was for a long time, so they were brilliant when they came around in the 90s. Like, we're gonna have this market for all the people that are like trying to, all the quote unquote, Caucasian white people are like, oh, I don't know if I should try this food. What do you got, dog in here? Because up until that point, it was what, like New Yorkers, more city people, more. If you had to be a part of a more metropolitan area that was more multiculturalized, like a San Francisco, a New York, and then you would find people that weren't Chinese being like, oh, do you try the channel? Oh, I go to this spot all the time. Like, you weren't going to find those people in the Midwest in all these transplant places. So now they got the P.F. Chang. They're going to put one in every airport. They're going to put one in every major visiting city, and they're just going to rack dough for it. So that just puts it in perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that Chinese food that I went to would be appreciated by someone that was Chinese, because the people that were there were definitely Chinese.
Right.
But for me, it was just like, because I remember just the setting was pretty cool, and they brought the soup, and we hand wash, and we ordered a bunch of things, and I remember of the bunch of things, like 5 were great, 5 were just like I could never eat that again. But I just remember thinking, we're just probably accustomed to something different is what it boils down to.
Even me, just with an American palate, because then there's another level, guys. There's Chinese food, which is when you go to China, and that's where I was eating snake, scorpions, the monkey brain, pretty much everything you'd see in Indiana Jones. It was just like, yeah, and they still had the tails up and everything. They just fry them whole. And
I want to try monkey brain.
It was in the soup.
But why?
It was a weird texture.
Why you guys want to eat that?
When there's a billion people, I guess they just have to find food from the craziest places, man. I have no.
You know how I think of that?
Uh-huh.
I think of it as somebody going, "Hey, man, there's some dumb motherfuckers out there. Watch this," and then he goes and does it, and he succeeds, and I'm like, I guess why didn't I think of that? I need to think of something dumb that I think I could do to people and trick them, because I just don't get that one,
Dude, I'm not even kidding. They were unabashed about it. I'm not even kidding you. Like, if I had a cell phone camera, like I did with that Spanish menu I showed you guys, the rape fish, because I don't want. But I would have took a picture of this. But it was like a Mongolian barbecue. We have these joints here, right, where you put the raw beef and then you put the rice or the noodles and you dress your whole thing and they give it to you and they cook it in front of you. They had that like going. This was 2000, my first trip to China. They had that before that was up here, right? Difference was it was like goat, right? Like you like goat, you know. They had like a bunch of like random animals. And I'm not even kidding. They had one. It just said it was a question mark, and it was just a bunch of scraps of meat. I didn't put any in my bowl.
That poor Dane
guy's
guy's lying when he's out there, and he's like, everything's delicious on this show. He's like, oh man, these people.
The guy that does bizarre foods is even worse.
Oh, Andrew.
They can't be telling the truth.
The guy looks like Matt.
Every once in a while, they gotta be like,
yeah,
he does, right?
Dude, that guy's just like drinking blood.
Throwing up into a bucket and then going, all right, we'll film it. We'll give you guys props. He flew us out here or whatever, but there's no way that bullshit's any good.
Yeah, I like the Andrew Zimmerman guy. Like he goes out, he's like cutting open like African animals and drinking their blood while he has his wedding ring on. He's like, this is great.
I just asked Andrew.
That's why your
Simon.
ass was shitting in the on the fucking wall in China, man. These scorpions or monkey brains or whatever you have.
I just asked Andrew Simon. I said, I'm going to P.F. Chang's today for the first time. Should I be excited or meh?
So he's an elitist. He'll probably wait.
This should be the daily debate for today.
He said, are you excited when you go to Pizza Hut for Italian food?
Yeah, he's kind of an elitist a
Fuck,
little bit.
I can't get like an honest answer.
All right.
I'll tell you what
the
I like
last
from
thing I
there.
suggested was Chapo to you, right?
Yeah.
And I was on?
Yeah.
You'll be all right.
Okay.
Again, they're going to bring, we'll try and do one of those things where they bring like 5 or 6 plates, and there'll be 3 where you're like,
honey
You'll
seared
give me
shrimp.
the old, what's his name, on Pulp Fiction that fixes things? His fixer?
The Wolf?
Oh, the wolf, yeah.
Winston
When
Wolf.
he gave him the coffee, and he went, like that.
Okay. I guess
The compound chicken's really good.
what I'm trying to figure out is there's a place right by us called China A Go Go. It's all over the place.
Oh, no.
It's not that bad.
Oh,
right?
Jesus.
So what I'm trying to figure
You'll
out
be very
is,
impressed by P.F. Chang's.
is P.F. Chang's good enough to make me go, all right, I'll drive a little further and sit down and maybe pay a little bit more because it's that much better? Or is it just kind of like the difference between, Five Guys and, I don't know.
I'd have to try
Islands or
that one to
something.
see.
If you
Have
like
you
a
tried them
China Go-Go, I've had those kind of places back in the day. I know what you're talking about. It's going to be less greasy, more rich, concentrated in flavor. I recommend P.F. Chang's fried rice, crab wontons, honey seared shrimp's really good. Kung Pao chicken, like he said, is really good. And Mongolian beef's really good, super tender. And all the little vegetables that come with it.
The best thing you
really
can
good.
do
Yeah, you're good Mongolian
is
beef.
keep lists
100%.
of your friends and the shit they tell you.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, no, I keep score.
Almost like you're
I
yelping
keep
them.
a lot
Yeah.
of score.
Yelping them
I'll stand
because
by
there's
that
a
for
lot
sure.
of those jackasses. That's why I do a lot of blocking and muting and shit like that because I'm like, you're a jackass. I mean, I don't know how we got to follow each other, but you're actually a jackass. So I'm just never going to ask you about MMA or Bellator or certain things that people have these alliances to or fast food because you don't get it.
It's a Muppet list.
I've conquered a lot of the world. I basically showed up and said, bitch, give me your fucking deep dish. Give me the New York pie. Give me the Philly cheesesteak, And like I said, I was walking away going, that was a meal. But I'm not, dropping confetti from the ceiling or nothing like that. And the next place I'm going to conquer is Texas. Texans won't shut the fuck up about, we got real Mexican food here, dog.
Barbecue.
I want to go there. I know we've been there to Texas, but I guess we
Mexican
got to
food
go
in
to some
Texas.
spot where we just go, oh, you guys got it right. We went to Florida and had Mexican food and it was awful, but they were never saying, check us out. Floridians got this down.
Yeah.
I've even been in Mexico and had Mexican food that wasn't as good as I've had in California. So, but I want to go to Texas, maybe New Mexico or whatever, and just say, all right, let's do this.
Yeah, that's
El
where you're
Paso?
supposed to get Tex-Mex from. But Texas almost feels like you have to spread out your attack, like either like a Houston, El Paso, and then you definitely got to hit Austin for barbecue and all the food crap they got going on there. But Danny, what's Dan Tom's score with our one encounter? I took you to one of my spots in Brooklyn. What's Dan Tom's score? Did he score well?
What scores?
Are we talking about the meatball
food
shop?
score. What George is talking about, like and goes Yelp for friends for recommending food. How would I have scored?
I mean, I loved that place, so I give you high ratings. That place is great. I definitely want to go back to that place.
Now, do you guys have each other high score because you know each other so well? Now it's like you guys are just throwing bullseyes for the most part, or do you guys still
Him and I?
send each other wrong?
He doesn't like a lot of the pizza places I recommend.
But at least comes correct and doesn't oversell it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
He's not like, this 1979 Mustang's going to purr like a kitty. You got to get it, man. Give me $40,000 or nothing like that. He's not overselling it. He
respect
just tells
that.
you, this is what this is what I think, blah, blah, blah. Here you go. Sit down, eat. If you like it, great. And that's why when I get up, I don't have to, like, get too mad if I don't like it.
I know that if I recommend something to him, I better have a good plan for the next
He's been good with movies. Good movies and documentaries lately.
See, I'm the same way where like I'm the opposite. I should say that's where I fall short is I overhype things, but that's also because A, I'm a passionate dude, obviously, but B, for things like movies and food, I will stand by it. I'm very confident. A lot of that comes from my confidence and my accuracy. So.
And what about C?
C is all the shit that I'm not good at, which is a really big category. I will definitely lead you wrong. Don't listen to me outside of those two categories.
I love it when Dan does outlines.
Maybe Danny's right. Maybe we should have done this as a daily debate. I'm getting messages left and right.
Nobody wants to talk fights.
No.
The number up.
You know the UFC is going to Russia.
Yeah.
I saw that this morning.
It's not going to be a pay-per-view. It's going to be a fight night, but they are going on September 15th, which I had seen a while back. It's just I thought it might wind up being a pay-per-view. And it doesn't appear to be a pay-per-view, and I really doubt Khabib will be appearing on that card because I believe he's a pay-per-view guy now at this point. Not to say he's a star or anything, but I think that's just the direction he's headed. So we'll see. They definitely have plenty of talent. Maybe Magomed, Sharapov Magomed, whatever his name is. That's actually his last name. Yeah.
Magomed Sharapov.
Maybe him, maybe Volkov, I think, was thrown out there. I like that. But Volkov's actually in a position where he could be the next challenger for that world title. If Lewis beats Ngannou, then I think Lewis is going to have like a lot of big rallying cry. You know, there's going to be a lot of people that support him. But if not, I think Volkov's 4-0 in the UFC. He's got a good record, and he's beaten a quality opponent to get there. You know, so you can't just have a good record. You have to. It's almost like in pro wrestling, you got to pin a veteran, and then all of a sudden people are like, "Oh, okay, he's someone put him over."
Especially since if Derek Lewis wins, it's probably gonna be by knockout. That usually helps.
That's the thing,
in the equation.
Yeah. So, but we have to see how. Luckily, he's on the same card as the champion. If DC wins and Kane's healthy, and DC wants to return to 205, maybe that's what happens. And then now all of a sudden, the heavyweight position or division, the heavyweight division. Well, no, the actual throne is empty. What are we saying? What am I saying? Not the division's empty because the division's full. The position of heavyweight champion is. I'm making it sound like it's a job. What am I saying here?
I'm thinking about thrones now.
The throne, the belt, I guess. Yeah, the belt. Just doesn't have a champion, and they'd have to choose two people to do it. If Stipe defends though, and Kane's not ready to go, which now we're further away from Kane. We'll be 2 years removed from Kane's destruction of Travis Brown.
Yeah.
It could be that Derek Lewis could leapfrog Cain Velasquez on that night. Volkov, I'm not so sure. And I believe the UFC, not that they have a soft spot for Kane. Well, there's a few things to factor in here. He was on that podium with GSP, Cowboy, Kennedy, Dillashaw. Remember when they did the MMA? What was that? Yeah, that one was an association. But he's a Mexican-American powerhouse for the UFC, I think.
But they've kind of gotten away from. Well, but you know what? Because guys like Yair showed up. There were other Alexa Grasso.
Yeah.
But now Yair's gone. So
right.
I don't know. Maybe they do need that big figurehead.
Yeah.
That wasn't a big head joke, by the way.
We'll see. We'll see what happens there. How did we get into this? Where am I headed? Oh, Russia. Oh, yeah. So that's the news, folks. September 15th. They're going. And this weekend they're in Chile, by the way. For those that don't know, Kamaru Usman and Damian Maia in your headliner. And like Ghost stated, Alexa Grasso co-main eventing versus Tatiana Suarez. You remember her from Tough 23, undefeated out of SoCal, Mexican-American fighter, wrestling background, 4-0 in the UFC. She's gonna be making some noise if she beats not Herrick, but Alexa. But there's also another key fight. There's Esparza versus Claudia.
Oh, yeah.
That's pivotal because Claudia is now, she's kind of like out of detention. She's kind of out of timeout. When Joanna beat her for the second time, it was like, you're in timeout. We'll let you know about this whole title thing. Once she lost, and now that Joanna's lost twice, and she's got a win over Rose, she's right at the forefront. So, and if Esparza wins, then
same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
What are we looking at here? Calls?
There are calls, yes.
All right. I'll tell you what, I want to have a nice run of calls, so let's just take this break right now. Then when we come back, we'll start pounding the phones. 866-522-2846. There's 3 empty lines, but there's also 3 soldiers ready to talk some mixed martial arts, so bring it. Again, 866-522-2846. It's the MMA Junkie Radio Show on SiriusXM, Rush 93. Yeah.
King Kong has a lot of shit on them. Like a lot, especially Goes. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Kentucky Derby winner Justify tries to capture the second jewel of the Triple Crown in Saturday's Preakness Stakes. SiriusXM Rush 93's coverage starts Saturday at 10 Eastern with Down the Stretch. Then at 5 Eastern, go live to Baltimore for coverage of the Preakness on Channel 93 and on the SiriusXM app. Baltimore, those people always rave about crab cakes.
Yeah.
Crab cakes and football, baby. That's what Maryland does.
Yeah.
Wedding Crashers?
Yeah. Sax friend.
All right, here we go. Let's take some calls. 866-522-2846 if you want to follow these Nimrods. None of them are really that good.
Remember we knew somebody named Nimrod?
What? Poor kid.
Well, I don't know if it was Nimrod. I
know it was Nimbod.
Yeah.
Nimbod.
It was our cousin Lewis's neighbor. But he was a little guy, so I kept messing around going, is it Nimrod? You know, like, no, it was Nimbod. Oh, okay. All right, well, go off for a pass. Nice catch, Nimrod. Did I get that right? My VX is freezing up, Danny. Punch in Scott from Utah, please. What's up, Scott? How you doing?
What's up, boys?
How are you?
Scott, hey.
Hey, with the new deal coming out with ESPN, and we're getting little tidbits about how the UFC is probably not going to lessen the amount of fights they're having for next year. I don't get why the fans are. I see some comments and some fans are upset. I get why the media is upset. Somebody like Dan, who's got to work every week. When there's a fight card, I get why you guys might be upset. But for fans like me who could watch a fight every weekend, if you guys don't want to watch a fight, don't watch it. But why be upset about it? I don't watch Pitch Perfect because I don't want to watch it.
I watched it. It was good. I liked Pitch Perfect. First one was great.
But I don't watch 160 baseball games, and I'm not mad about it. So I don't get where the anger is about too many fights. Just don't watch them. Go hiking. Go, I don't know, spend time with your family. But I don't get the anger.
All right. The reason they get upset is because they feel like because there's more cards, the pay-per-views that we're used to paying all that money for get watered down a little bit. So the fights aren't as stacked. The cards aren't as stacked anymore because you have so many of these cards.
And they're also the build-up from week to week. It was a little bit different back in the day when there was some sort of a build-up talking about the same fights, the same matchups, the same fighters. It put the fighters on a little bit more of a pedestal as well, going in, going out. The stakes were higher. The fights seemed to mean a little bit more, and the fighters got more notoriety, and it shot a lot of them to superstardom. Now you can get lost so quickly, in the mix. So there's some feeling to that, but you're right, Scott. You could take a week or two off and not get lost by any stretch. Yeah, you're right. Go take a vacation. Be with your family, go to the wedding you were invited to, whatever you need to do, miss it, and then come back. And a lot of these, if you're pretty clever with your phone, you can stay away from spoilers, and they'll still be live to you. In fact, a lot of people that I know in opposite ends of the world do that. They go to bed and wake up the next day, and that's it. And then there's hardcores like Howie and P in Austria that are up till 4 a.m. They do their sleep schedule differently so that they can wake up and then it's on. They adjust, but. I think that's like Go said. It just takes away from the card a little bit. And when you're actually the person, like if you're someone in Chicago, you want a stacked card, and guess what? You are getting it. That's probably a poor example. But if you're someone in Brazil, they hadn't been to Rio in a little while, and so you want, you would have wanted Damian Maia and Kamaru Usman, right? If you were in Rio last week, and then you would have wanted Kevin Lee and Edson Barbosa to fly over to Brazil and be on that card, or Frankie and Cub. But, they have to spread all this talent amongst all these fight nights.
Yeah, there's also something to say culturally, too, which might help explain what kind of Scott's saying, because I see your point definitely. And I think the numbers, guys, is something else that kind of suggests that people are taking these breaks, right? They are kind of tuning out, picking what they choose. And I think Scott brought up the baseball example, which is great because in other sports we see that more where we're not necessarily tuning into every game or depending on what TV package, you're not even capable of picking up every game, right? And then that's been something that everybody's been used to, but I think it's different from MMA. MMA is not there yet. We're still in that kind of hipster stage where, the band, like the Metallica did before they got big, and once the band gets big, what does everybody do? Oh, it's not cool anymore, and there's always that fickle MMA fan factor where you're not going to make anybody happy no matter what, but I think a lot of people are going to be unhappy no matter where it goes because it's their baby. They're used to the only one pay-per-view every so often, the stat cards like George is saying. So there's definitely a cultural thing that I think is represented through the numbers. The numbers are going down. So and it's just a balancing act, right? When is less more and all that the brass has to figure out.
Scott, the haters just texted me and they told me to read you this. If Scott don't like us whining, tell him to stop going on social media and he won't hear it. No, I'm just kidding. They didn't say that. They didn't say that. Good call, buddy. We got to move on, though, all right? Hope you enjoyed the fights this weekend. Guys. All right. Let's go to Ben in New York. What's up, Ben? Hey, where you been?
Working for the past, 2-3 years. But, yeah, how you guys been?
Good, man.
So, as far as P.F. Chang's go, I like P.F. Chang. It's good stuff. But I always judge Chinese plays on their General Tso's chicken. If that's good, I'm sure the rest of it's good. And then
one vote for yes.
Yes. Yeah, yesterday you guys were talking about the Hall of Fame fights. I had no clue that was part of the UFC Hall of Fame, but I had 4 fights that came to mind immediately when you guys were talking about that.
Okay.
The first one was Pat Barry versus Cheick Kongo. I will never forget that fight. And every time I watch that, it's like the first time I've watched it.
That did come up, by the way. Someone said it. Well, go ahead. What's next?
Yeah. I don't know if it's old enough yet. Robbie Lawler versus, I believe it was Rory McDonald, where Lawler split his lip open. I love that fight. That was a good one.
Gotta get in there.
It will, but if anybody wants to rewatch it, you're not gonna enjoy the first. Was it 2 rounds or 3 rounds?
I think it was the first 3.
Yeah, I didn't think they were that enjoyable, but it turned into a classic pretty quickly. Unlike other fights where it was like Hunt and Bigfoot, I don't think they took a second off. Not hating on it, it was still a great fight, but if we're gonna do a little dissecting, what's the next one?
I think in a couple of years it'll probably be Miesha Tate versus Holly Holm. I'll probably get emotional. No, that fight was insane. How Miesha pulled out the win with, I think it was, 15 seconds left in the 5th round. I remember exactly where I was when that happened. Me and my wife and a couple of friends were at Bob Wing, and it was like the roof flew off that place when Miesha won that fight. It was insane. And I think that one should probably be in the Hall of Fame. And then Anderson versus Charleston in one. Basically the same thing with Miesha and Holly. But to me, the fights where the guys getting their butts kicked for 4 or 5 rounds and pulls out the win out of nowhere, that's what legends are made of. I feel like that should be recognized.
Good call, Ben. I like those. But I think the last 2 probably are not in the top 10 as far as the next 10 fights that will get put into the Hall of Fame.
They'd be top notch if the category was greatest endings to a fight.
Yeah. That's what I was feeling as well. All right, let's go. Who's next? Marco and Waco. What's up, Marco?
Marco from Waco, bro. ¿Qué pasa, dudes?
What's up, bud?
What's up?
So we're going to talk about Chile. Because on this card this weekend, you guys should be paying attention. There is 3 Peruvian fighters being featured. Bandanay, Barzola, and Puelles. And on the main card, the rivalries of all rivalries, Diego Rivas from Chile versus the puto Argentino, Diego Canelli.
Is that his nickname?
Talking so much shit that he's going to go to Chile and conquer Chile with his flag, and he's going to freaking prove that the superiority of the Argentinian fighter. And guess what? Diego Rivas, a cancer survivor, by the way, is going to knock you the fuck out, Canelli. Come to Chile and talk about crap about Chile. Fuck you, Argentinian motherfucker.
I think.
Damn,
wow.
Marco. Right, thanks, Marco.
I don't know if it was Marco, but the UFC might have his nickname listed right. Apparently, it's Ninja. Marco, by the way, Ninja is his nickname according to the UFC. But all right.
Go to Russ in Boston. What's up, Russ? Been a minute. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on? I'm pretty good, guys. Hey, I just George, I want to thank you for the words you said yesterday when you told Marco to never sing Happy Birthday on the air again to his kid.
Do you remember that one?
Oh my God, I think I do remember that. Yeah. Hey, I was you just mentioned that Chicago card, and man, that card, I was just looking at it online, and that's such a deep card.
It is. It's
deep. I don't.
It's got a lot of talent, that's for sure. It's worth it.
Yeah, looking at the pay-per-view portion of it, I think the undercard, the Fox Sports 1 card, if you pull it up and look at it, I think that's I mean, obviously you got 2 title fights, but there's a lot of names on that Fox Sports 1 portion.
Yeah, let me pull it up here.
Benavidez, Pettis, Holm, Anderson, Rashad,
was
Clay
Benavidez
Guida, Bobby
kidding, by the
Green.
way, when he told us he was on Fight Pass?
I don't think so. He sure didn't look like he was kidding.
So we haven't divided it yet by main card. I'm looking at Junkie Rumors. We haven't divided it by main card and prelims or anything like that. But I got to believe that, yeah, Whitaker Romero, Covington Dos Anjos, Blades Overeem, I guess Arlovsky Tuivasa, and CM Punk Mike Jackson. And so Russ is saying Megan Anderson versus Holly Holm, Rasad Bektik versus Ricardo Lamas, Carlos Barza versus Claudia Gadelia, Clay Guida versus Bobby Green. Wow.
That's stacked.
Evan Smith, Benavidez, Pettis, Ige, Santiago, Coulter, and De La Rocha. So I imagine Ige, Santiago, Coulter, De La Rocha, and maybe Evan Smith, honestly, might be on Fight Pass.
Makes sense.
Maybe even Green and Guida because it was the last one added. No, Green and Guida are going to get a pop on Fox Sports.
Yep, lightweights.
So maybe Benavidez is right, man. You know, he might be put down because everything else, like the ladies are just going to get that love, and Lamas is a local, and him and Bektik are both ranked. Not that Pettis and Benavidez aren't, but they got to make a move. Either that or they put Guida. There's going to be 4 on Fight Pass. 4 on, so there's 13 fights. Whew, crazy, man. You know, a lot of people have been asking me about Chicago, and the flights are pretty decent. They haven't begun the eye gouging yet. But I've been saying I like to stay at the Fighter Hotel, and I've inquired like about 6 or 7 times. They got to be getting sick of me, different sources that I have, and no one can seem to get an answer. Because even if I get the answer and it's packed, well, I like to look around and see what's there. That way I can stagger out like a hobo.
Have you done that yet? All the hotels are insane.
Right,
insane.
But
They're not
the
making
arena's
any
kind of
sense.
pulled away. So, but okay, I'll give you an example. You know, the UFC's like, oh, if they're not at MGM, they're at Mandalay Bay or at Monte Carlo. But every once in a while, they'll throw a wrench and say, oh, this time they're over at Green Valley, or this time they're over at Red Rock. So, if they're pulled away, then maybe that might, you know, maybe there might be a hotel nearby if it's sold out that might not be too bad. Because I'm going to be Uber guy, and if I don't want to Uber it, I'd rather just walk. But I want to be in an area that's pretty safe. But as it's going, every time I log on, everything's going higher and higher and higher, and then I start to lose interest. Are you going, Russ?
I wanted to, but like Go said, I got a deal last week. I could have flown for like 100 round trip on Southwest, but then when I looked at the hotels, they were insanely high. They were like, it was like $220 a night, $250. I really can't do that for a hotel. I'm barely there, you know. I mean, they're nice hotels, but it was just way too much money. And I might go to Chicago the week after for a couple WWE events. I don't know yet, but I really wanted to go. But
when you go for the WWE events, are the hotels drastically slashing their prices?
So it's different. They're in Rosemont, which is outside of O'Hare, so it's way different than downtown prices.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it's very different. WWE runs the Allstate Arena, not United Center, so it's a lot different, and everything is within a couple miles. But those downtown hotel prices were just crazy. I looked other weekends, like in downtown, and it was just, I don't know what's going on other than that, but it was just really, really high. So just couldn't make it work. But are you going those, or you didn't know if you were going yet?
No, I ended up taking a trip this weekend that I think is going to wipe out the possibility of Chicago. My whole thing was just like you. I saw a really cheap flight, but then to stay in Chicago was just so much higher.
You know,
that
we got to
didn't
go to
save
our
anything.
Uncle Juan's 90th birthday, right?
Yeah.
And so I looked, and out of LAX at 11:59 that night, there's a flight for like 158 to Chicago, and there's a flight home from Chicago for $97. That's pretty cheap.
I found something even cheaper coming out of it. It was it was like $115 round trip, but the hotel was like $800.
But is it like Spirit, where if you look someone in the eye, they charge you $80 right there?
No, it was American, I think.
It's like, oh, how you doing? Pretty good. That'll be $80.
I hate those. Yeah, racks
so
up.
I don't know.
You got to take a leak? Yeah, that'll be $80.
Right.
You got to ask Russ, man. Russ reminds me of, you guys remember Saturday Night Live? Bill Murray had a segment called Frequent Flyer. Yeah, that's Russ reminds me of.
The real deal.
Russ, he knows what's up.
You ever fly Southwest or Spirit, those airlines that do them little sneaky charges?
I have, yeah. I did Spirit once to Vegas. It was the biggest mistake of my life. But I don't mind doing it. Like when I went to Cleveland, it's like an hour-and-a-half flight, and it's like, I don't know, like $70-$80 round trip, so I'll do it. But I can't do another like 6-hour trip on Spirit. It was brutal. But short flights, it's okay.
You gotta travel like Art Davey. Remember, he had nothing.
Yeah,
he just had nothing. I mean, everything had been packed underneath. No laptop, nothing, not a bother, and he just no headphones,
no iPod.
Yeah, man, he was really, really, really casual. All right, my man. Thanks for the call. Great hearing from you.
Easy, guys.
All right, see ya. Might as well do one more. We're on a roll here. Brandon from Louisville. What's up, Brandon?
Hey, boys. How y'all doing today?
Brandon.
Good. How are you?
And you?
Doing good. So, Goes, if you get the cheap seats to Chicago, and Alex from Chicago said, hey, you can stay with me, would you take him up on that deal?
Fuck no.
Or are you not about that life?
I'd rather fly to Australia on Spirit Airlines.
Then room with than Alex from Chicago?
At his place? Alec, I don't know about that.
Because he may live in a rough area, or just because he's nutty?
Both.
He's actually pretty entertaining, though.
No, he's a nice guy. He's a great guy. But the little bit that I've hung out with him, things can get out of... And it's not like bad out of hand. It's just like crazy out of hand.
Really? Like when?
The last time they were here.
What did he do?
I don't know if I could say it on the air.
Like they go out and pick fights?
No. Like chicks and stuff like that.
Oh.
Jeez.
But just,
take it easy, yeah.
I know. But, yeah, you just never know where the night's going to go.
You have a stance, you don't like chicks, or what's the problem?
I don't like grenades.
Oh. Okay, I got you. Well, sometimes you're just hanging, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You do.
Shrapnel. That's all right.
All right, boys.
That's Brandon. Brandon hung out with him. He was part of one of those nights.
Yeah. Is Alex going to be there, Brandon? Are you going to be there?
If I'm there, I'm driving there and then driving back because hotels are just, as Go said, insane. I got a better chance of not getting robbed, sleep on the side of the road than taking those hotel prices for a night.
But let me ask you this. But does Brandon drink? Yeah, right?
No.
Oh, he doesn't? Oh, so he's alert. He can make it home.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, man, is I always wonder, like, aren't you tired? I mean, it's a long day. I think they're talking about going to the Cubs game in the day.
Jeez.
And then straight to the fights. And I believe, most of them are going to be drinking, so I just don't see how you could get your wits together and then drive. But if he doesn't drink, then he's set. All right.
It's still a rough 4-hour, 5-hour drive home, but I might be able to push through. First of all, guys, thanks again for this last week, hosting me in the studio and letting me hang out. Always a pleasure.
Isn't it?
So I see Chuck Liddell wants to fight again. And it looks like it's going to be Tito. And is this going to be for Golden Boy? Because even Bellator's kind of shying away from this, right?
Well,
Sounds
the Tito
like
thing's supposed to be Golden Boy.
Yeah, sounds like it's going to be Golden Boy and not Bellator. Do you like it?
I don't really care for it.
Hell no, I don't like it.
Okay,
Chuck
why not?
needs to stay the far. Chuck's retired. Chuck got retired for a reason, and that's because he couldn't. He got knocked out by Rich Franklin, and Rich, love him to death, great fighter, was never a KO artist. Chuck's chin's gone, and I don't think, 4 or 5 years away now?
I don't know, man.
Without training. Yeah.
But he's fighting someone else that's going to have limited skills from their prime as well. And we don't know, because they're talking about an impossible pay-per-view. So let's just say they're going to be rookies in the game. So let's just say Chuck can get $500,000 to $1 million, and that's for his family. You don't have to tap him on the shoulder and go, hey, this could be dangerous, right, for your health. He fucking knows that.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's just going to say, this is how I make my living, man. Like, I haven't fought in a while. These guys are willing for me to fight, someone else. I'm sure if someone grabbed his wife's tail at a club, he'd probably step up to him. He'd be in a fight right then and there. Not someone with the skills of Tito, I get that, but I just think fighters, man, they're programmed in this way where they, you know, when they go out and spar, when he's probably sparring with Jay Glazer and the boys, they put on the headgear and probably wail on each other from time to time. I think he's just looking at it as it's just sparring in front of a lot of people, except they're gonna pay me a lot of money. That's why he's willing to do it. Now, I respect you as a fan that you care about these, you know, these heroes of ours and what could happen to them, but I think they'll publicly thank you for their concern, but I don't think it matters, man. If they're laser focused, and if someone's willing to pay them, they'll go out there and do it. That's the one thing I've kind of figured out through all this.
Let me take this a step farther then. Chuck said after he fights Tito, he'd like one more than John Jones. You on board with that?
Nope.
Well, no, I don't think so, because John's for one, I don't think Chuck's, you know, obviously UFC caliber. And no, I don't think he should fight John. John Jones is a UFC fighter when he does come back, and therefore I couldn't see that fight in the UFC. Because, see, I think they asked Andy Foster, would you sanction it? And he said he would have to pass a certain amount of testing. But I think a lot of it has to do with, well, who's your opponent? And with John Jones, I don't think they'd go, well, that's going to be a fair fight. Here's one thing I will say, though. I think it started with Jeremy Botter or maybe somebody else. And that person said, I wish I could remember his name and credit the person that said it. That person said, Chuck in his prime versus Jones. How would it go? Well, gun to the head, I think most of us would say Jones.
Mm-hmm.
But they all seem to think that it was even foolish to even entertain that Chuck had a chance. And that's what I disagree with. I think Chuck had some great hands. He was very difficult to take to the ground. He had a great chin at one point. So, again, if you're saying Chuck in his prime, that is Chuck in his prime. And I think he'd have a chance. I'm not saying he'd win, but I think he'd have a chance. I think it'd be a great fight, but we can't turn back the clock.
Mm-hmm. I think the distance would be a little bit. A lot of people have problem solving that with John, and I think Chuck could do a little bit there, a little bit more than some of the other guys.
Mm-hmm. All right, Brandon. Thanks for the call, man. Maybe I'll see you out there in a few weeks.
Hey, you there?
Yep.
I'll co-sign on PF Chang. That's the yes from me.
All right, man. See you, buddy. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
They taught Andy Griffith how to whistle. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Right now, through May 29th, you can listen to SiriusXM for free in the car and on the SiriusXM app and online. Just download our app, or go to SiriusXM.com to listen to your favorite channels. While you're there, get a sneak peek of Howard Stern Radio. Just to glance over some of the latest news here, because we are brushing up against the top of the hour. We'll have to take another quick break, and we'll come back with some fighters. Sacramento police are looking into an alleged assault involving Nate Diaz. What they're talking about is at Combate Americas this past weekend, Friday to be exact. I know. Clay Guida and Tyler Diamond, both from Team Alpha Male, were standing around talking. And according to Tyler Diamond's Twitter handle, Nate Diaz shoved him from behind. He stepped in the middle of it to intervene. Nate Diaz slapped him. And then he said someone from Diaz's crew cold-cocked him. There's some video out there, but nothing's really conclusive. You can't really see much going on. At least none of what I just described. Either way, I guess the police are looking into it. And if the DA feels like there's enough there, like the detective will determine that. If the DA feels like there's enough there, then maybe they charges. I mean, what, disorderly conduct or assault?
Well,
I don't know.
Assault, right?
Well, a shove though. I mean,
he flew into the guardrail and kind of busted his lip, didn't he?
Yeah. I don't know Clay Guida that well, but to me, I think he'd just rather fight him. You know what I mean? He's fought him before, and he kind of put something out on Twitter. He's not too active on social media, but he did it a few weeks ago or a few months ago, where he wanted to fight Nate Diaz. I think that's why Diaz shoved him, because of that video from like March.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a fight would just make more sense here, unless somebody got in his ear and said, "Hey, you want to take $100,000 off this guy? We'll do some sort of a lawsuit." But I heard there was a little bit of blood, and yeah, he went into a guardrail. But I don't know. I think the DA and the detective will be like, "Fuck, man, we got to solve murders and shit." You know, like.
Mm-hmm.
You really want to do this, and I think the other guy will just probably not do it. That's what I think.
Or you could file charges and say, a good way for me not to file these charges. How about you set up this fight with us? Let me get paid.
Maybe, but I don't know if they don't.
Probably won't have a choice. What's he gonna say? No, here's $100,000 out of my own pocket. That's what you get for shoving me.
But he's got to
Ooh,
prove.
that's what I tell him.
I mean, how much cosmetic work needed to be done to fix his teeth, or I don't know. He's got to prove that, psychologically he was damaged or something. I don't know. Also, Ryzen FF11, Kyoji Horiguchi versus Hiromasa Okikubo 2. Apparently that card's out. Ike? That's my reaction. Horiguchi's a great fighter. He needs to come back to the UFC. I don't hate Ryzen, but there's plenty of people to fill up their fight cards. But this guy's one of the top 25ers in the world. He should be in the UFC. The latest rankings came out for USA Today Sports and MMA Junkie. Check them out. We're going to come back with Andre the Bull Harrison, PFL fighter, followed by Sean O'Connell, PFL fighter. Finish up with Cheick Kongo, Bellator fighter. Stay close. second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. Do we have Andre with us, Danny? Oh, he's working on it. Okay. We can just keep it right there, I guess, until I'm told we have Andre. Because it does break nicely. Where do we hear this on?
Bronxdale.
Bronxdale.
Now you can't leave.
This is it?
Yeah. He locks the door.
Do we have our guest, Danny?
We do. Sorry, I was just grabbing him when you were talking to me. I heard you.
I'm not hating on the song, but it had that second stanza or verse or whatever it's called. We just couldn't hang in there. But yeah, this is a pivotal part of that movie Bronxdale, a classic from like 1993 or 95 or something like that. Starts Robert De Niro. You guys will like it. Check it out. All right, we got to get to our guest here. His name is Andre Harrison. Andre's 17-0, and he's the former WSOF featherweight champion. But the confusing thing is, when they became PFL late last year, he defended their actual title. Now they go into these $1 million tournaments, and I'm wondering, is he going in as a champion who, in this process of whoever he fights, it'll be some sort of a title defense, or if it's just the belt's on the shelf, and this is something new. We'll find out. Let's see what they've told him. Andre the Bull, what's up, my man? How you doing?
What's going on, man? What's going on?
Good to have you back on the MMA Junkie Radio Show. You're on with George, Goes, and Dan. So listen, Andre, how are you going to be treated as far as this $1 million tournament that PFL is doing, that you're headlining, PFL 1 on June 7th? Are you going in as a champion who's defending each time he fights? Or is that kind of like yesterday's news, and now you're just one of the participants in each Grand Prix?
Well, the way that the tournament is set up is that there's no champions going into the PFL tournament. Everybody is pretty much starting off from scratch, and you fight these first two fights, and it's a point system. So whoever has the highest amount of points at the end of the first two fights of the season, they will be the number one seed going into the quarterfinals. Right? Okay. And whoever has the least amount, they'll be the last seed, and you'll fight twice in one night and then come back again to fight out for the $1 million prize and the title.
All right, yeah, so you're just like one of the other participants then, or any of the other participants in your weight class. That's it. You're not being treated special. You're not walking out second. You're not walking out with a belt. Nothing like that.
I'm not walking out with a belt, but, I am the main event, so I would have, I get treated as such.
Right.
Yeah,
that's you're right, because a champion would have to defend 5 rounds, 5 minutes, 25 minutes total if the fight went the distance. So I guess there's no way they could do that for now. And are you when you come out of the tournament in season 2, are we back to tournaments again, or will they have a few months where they'll have fights where you can defend your title then?
Ooh, that is a good question, and I have an idea of the answer, but I'm not sure if I'm able to really discuss that right now. I'm gonna just leave that up in the air. You know what I mean? I'm gonna just leave that out. I don't want to get in trouble.
Damn, you're one of their top stars. They're not gonna fire you.
This is true. They're not gonna fire me, but they might be a little upset, and then I won't know any information. Going forward, I'd rather. You know what I mean?
Hey, give me this.
You guys, if y'all try me back, y'all gotta try me back with that one.
Give me this. If you were in our studio, would you at least kind of give me a wink so that I actually knew the answer, and that way I wouldn't let.
1,000%.
Okay, cool. Because I'm feeling.
I'd give you a wink, maybe a little nod.
I got you. All right, we're talking to Andre Harrison, PFL champion at the featherweight division, who is in the PFL Grand Prix or tournament. That they're starting up here. Actually, it's what it is. It's regular season. It's like, think about other sports. There's a regular season and then a playoff. So we'll just stick to tournament. I think that's a broad word that describes what's happening here. And in the end, somebody will walk away with $1 million. When you heard all that, Andre, did you have to say, what? How does this work? I mean, that's a lot of money these people are tossing around. You must be pretty stoked about that. That's life-changing.
Oh yeah, definitely life changing, man. And I've been fighting now I've first walked into Domo where I started my pro career 7 years ago. You know what I mean? I've been fighting for a while, and I put in a lot of time with this sport. I came in I didn't know how to punch. I didn't know how to kick. I didn't know anything about jiu-jitsu. You know, I was just a wrestler. You know what I mean? And I learned everything, you know, training my tail off, you know, on a daily basis. So for me, you know, I got a sense of pride in what I do, and you know, I got a sense of pride in my work ethic, and you know, for example, today's my birthday. You know, I don't know if you guys knew any of that, but today's my birthday.
We did. We were saving that for the end.
On 5 rounds. Oh, but I just got done sparring 5 rounds at the gym. I got my sprints going, you know, coming on later tonight. Like, you know, nothing changes for me, man. I make sure and get my work done no matter what the occasion is, no matter what. You know what I mean? And so, you know, I'm just ready. I'm ready for the tournament to kick off, man, and I'm ready, you know, to get going and display everything I've been working on, and yeah, man, excited.
Now that you did get the work in for today, how are you celebrating later?
Actually, I have no idea. My girlfriend, you know, begged me that if I can do my sprints at a decent time, because I typically try and do them around the time that I believe I'd be fighting. So she asked me if I could do them at a decent time, so that way I'm assuming she's going to try and take me to go get something to eat or something. So we'll see. We'll see what she got planned.
What is a birthday meal for Andre Harrison? You have to be kind of careful of your calorie intake, but at the same time, it is your birthday. So where are you hoping she takes you? I want to know what you like.
I love steak. You know, I love steak, man, and so I'm guessing she's gonna take me to a steakhouse. I'll probably, you know, get a fillet with a baked potato and some greens. You know, that for me, some spinach, and that's what I like right there. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that does sound really, really good.
Yeah,
I regret asking the question. Now I'm hungry. All right, goes.
What do you have for Andre Harrison? If you follow me on social media, you're gonna see a picture posted.
All right, yeah. Well, I'm following for sure.
Oh, now she really has to bring it, because if you end up at Red Robin or something, we're all gonna be laughing.
Yeah.
If she takes me to Red Robin, I'm still gonna post that picture, and I'm gonna need y'all to comment and be like, listen, you know, the guy. You know, he won a whole bunch of fights. The least you could have done is taking him, you know, to somewhere nice. You know,
you're giving us the green light to come at her like
mess
that.
Mess with her.
Okay.
Oh yeah. And she's shy as ever though too, so she's gonna like, you know, be all red in the cheeks. It'll be hilarious.
All right,
Andre. Now I know, obviously the title's not on the line, but is there anything? Have they told you anything about just walking out with the belt? Because it's still an accomplishment, and I don't see why you couldn't just walk out with it.
I mean, I'm sure if I attempted to, it wouldn't be an issue. But honestly speaking, walking out with titles and stuff, that's not really my thing. I looked a while back when John Jones was fighting. I remember him, you know, saying in an interview that, you know, if he looks at himself as a champion and looks at himself as defending the belt, it kind of changed the mindset of the training camp. And he was like, so every time I'm getting ready to defend my belt, in my mind, I tell myself that I'm going after another belt. And that way you keep that same kind of hunger. And I like fell in love with that idea because, you know, when you're on top for a while, you know, it seems, you know, you can get bored, you can get complacent, you can get set in your ways. And, you know, maybe you might just feel like, you know, you're good enough and you don't have to put in the extra work. But if you look at yourself as another competitor and you're trying to get another belt, then you look at it completely different. You know that you have to put in all the extra work and do everything that you need to do in order to get, you know, that next title. And that's how I look at my training camp. So for me, I wouldn't even want or care to walk out with the belt. You know, I'm just looking at it like I need to get this other title.
I hear you. All right.
But let me jump in there for a second. What if, okay, you're fighting in New York, man, at MSG, all right, and there's a lot of money in that city. And what if there's some dude in a suit that it's either his first time or he loves the sport, I don't know, whatever, and he's just looking to put his money behind the fighter, you know, because remember, you guys don't have well, no, I take it back. I guess there is going to be an apparel deal that I was hearing about, but let's just say this person somehow wants to support. A lot of people want to support, you know, they want to rub elbows with the best in the business. I mean, you got a shiny 17-0 record, and if you have a shiny belt draped over your shoulder, there may be a guy that says, I want to talk to him, and next thing you know, you're driving a Lexus for free, and you got a sponsorship from a Lexus dealer, or you got the attention of some hedge fund guy that's got a side business and he just wants to put some money behind somebody. You sure you want to miss an opportunity like that? You know what I mean?
I definitely understand and agree with what you're saying, but if he comes there looking for a fight, once he gets that pamphlet and he sees, who's fighting that night, he's going to see some names that are going to be, relatively attractive. He'll see names as, Lance Palmer. He'll see Steven Seiler. He'll see all these names, and then when he'll look and be like, well, who's these guys fighting in the main event, and realize that I fought those guys, you know what I mean? And then curiosity is going to kill the cat, because he's going to want to sit up there and watch, well, who's the guy that, that fought and beat these guys. And once he sees my performance and understands and starts to ask questions, well, who is this guy? What did he do? It'd be that much more, better at, finding out what exactly my road was in this sport. You know what I mean?
Okay, all right.
Speaking of cats who have a lot of money, in your head, have you kind of started spending that $1 million already?
I started looking like at houses and things like that. You know what I mean? I'm not really like a flashy kind of person. I don't buy really stupid things. I don't I don't mean to knock anybody, and what they just deem important. But, you wouldn't catch me buying like crazy outfits or, a whole bunch of money on sneakers or cars. I like my car. I like just being able to get back and forth to the gym, The most I might do is take a fun trip somewhere. And, after that, I just, want to have a nice little house and, probably invest in something, put money in my daughter's college fund, and, that'll be that.
Dan Tom, our fight analyst, has something for you. What you got for Dre the Bull?
Hey, Andre. Watching your footage a lot, I obviously see, you mentioned Belmore Kickboxing Academy being there. I really like watching fighters from that gym. It almost feels like the East Coast AKA, in the sense of you have all these amazing wrestlers like yourself, Gregor Gillespie, Bermudez, of course, a lot of people know, Wade, so forth. But you guys have developed in a really all-around fighters. Can you talk about that and maybe the presence there, Keith Trimble? He's a guy I don't think he gets enough shine, but he's in a lot of top-level fighters like yourself's corner.
Man, I was scrolling through Instagram the other day, and I want to say Dwayne Ludwig, who I met. I went to their gym out in Denver. One of my friends trains out of there and stuff. He put up a post. It was 9 different coaches, and they said if you had a MMA fight in 8 weeks, who would you want to have in your corner? And as you mentioned, Keith Trimble doesn't get enough shine and a lot of notoriety. I don't know if it's because he doesn't post workouts every day or what it is, but 1,000% that dude there is he's pretty much like a magician, man. Like me and Gregor, we both didn't know how to throw a punch, before stepping into the gym. You know what I mean? At least I had 6 amateur fights. Gregor had 0. You know what I mean? And Gregor now, he had, 2 knockout finishes, and you know what I mean? Like, there's wrestlers that are knocking people out, you know what I mean? I can stand on my feet. I had a gentleman that fought in Lion Fights, which is a Muay Thai organization, come down and spar with me the other day, and I bested him. You know what I mean? And that's all due to Keith Trimble there. Like, he legitimately takes his time every single day to make sure that we are taking steps in the right direction. Not every once in a while, but every single day. Every single day he is like on your back. And, as you guys mentioned, right now I'm 17-0. And if I start jabbing wrong, I'll get yelled at for it. Something as simple as a jab. If I don't turn over on my kicks properly, I'll get yelled at for it. And so he doesn't let anything slide. He doesn't let you feel comfortable with doing something wrong. He's always on you, making sure that you're doing things right, pushing you to be better, and making you know that you can and will be better, as long as you keep trying and going for certain things. And so with that, he made me who I am. He made Gregor who he is. Gregor said he wouldn't even fight unless Keith was there to be in his corner. That's how serious the relationship is between us and him. You know what I mean? And we got another guy, Adam Kolonowski. He's 17-0 as a heavyweight boxer. Again, Keith trained him since he was 3 fights in. You know what I mean? And now he's being mentioned among, fighting guys like Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. You know what I mean? And that's, again, all due to Keith. You know what I mean? These guys train in other gyms before. I trained in, as an amateur, I went to other places and trained with other people, but it is nothing like the aura that you get being in Belmore. And if you ask any of the guys that train on the East Coast, they'll tell you, like, as I was leaving the gym just now, Gian Vellante was getting ready to do work. He's fighting June 1st on the card with Gregor. You had Chris Camozzi in there. He's fighting in Australia, and he had him in there. They're all working out. Anybody that's on the East Coast, if you want a hard, good, solid training session, you're going to come to Belmore. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So for me, why the gym doesn't get the credibility that it should get is a mystery to me. You know what I mean? Like guys like Ryan LaFleur, he trains here as well. Costas Philippou, who at one point in time was ranked top 5 in the world, he's there on a regular basis. I was talking to Costas yesterday morning. You know what I mean? Like we have the firepower as far as fighters and them doing what they need to do. For whatever reason, everybody looks at other gyms like, this guy's the best trainer in the world, and if I had to put my money on the best trainers, I put it on Keith Trimble 10 out of 10 times. I would never go anywhere else. Never, ever, ever.
All right. Andre, I want to thank you for the time. We got to move on, and I'm sure you do as well. It's your birthday. Happy birthday again.
Yes.
And, folks, remember, Andre will be headlining PFL 1 on June 7th. They're at MSG. You can get tickets at pflmma.com and give Andre some love. Punch in the code Harrison to get 25% off tickets. Follow him on Twitter as well, at Dre the Bull. Thank you, Andre, for the time. Happy birthday, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, take care. All right, let's take a quick break, folks. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. We'll be back. We'll be talking to another PFL fighter, Sean O'Connell. He'll be fighting at PFL 2, but today he'll be hosting MMA Tonight, like he has for the past 6 months, or maybe even more. That MMA Tonight has been featured on Wednesdays with Sean O'Connell and Miesha Tate. So lots to talk about with him when we come back.
They are the stretch marks on the underbelly of the MMA community. But hey, stretch marks are the new tax. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Tune in to NBA Radio, Sirius 207, XM86, and listen for the hourly cue to call for your chance to win airfare, hotel accommodations, and 2 tickets to Game 4 of the NBA Finals. For official rules and details, go to SiriusXM.com/SiriusXM NBA Radio before May 22nd. I don't know if you guys caught this, but the Celtics are up 2-0 on Cleveland. And it doesn't look like they're going to let up, man. It's almost like they've already solved them. But still, halfway to go. You need 4 to advance. And then on the other side, of course, G-State off to a 1-0 lead.
Where do you think LeBron's going next year?
I think the Lakers.
Yeah.
Also, Vegas Golden Knights tied up, but coming home. They play tonight. That's why I got my jersey on. Again, if you're calling me a bandwagoner, it's fucking year one. What am I supposed to do? If I don't wear anything, they're going to be like, boy, you're really supporting your team. You know what I mean? It's like a double-edged sword. I'm not the biggest
that's what I
Kobe
feel
fan.
like right now.
I don't try and, like, pretend I am, but I just thought, well, if I bought this, I might as well wear it. I don't have the dough to go to the game, so I might as well just, sport it. All right, our next guest, Sean O'Connell, former UFC vet, now with the PFL. He'll be fighting at PFL 2. Which takes place 2 weeks past the PFL 1. We just hung up with the main eventer from that card. Sean will be fighting Ronny Markes. I've seen Ronny a lot over there at the Extreme Couture Gym. It's going to be a good fight. I'm really excited about this one. And, again, this is the regular season. They fight in the regular season until they get to a playoff. And then the winner of each weight class will take home $1 million. Here he is, OC Sports. What's up, Sean? How you doing?
Goes, George. How are things?
Great, man. How about yourself?
Doing good, feeling good. Just getting back into it. It's been what, like 17 months for me, 18 months, 19 months. It's been a long time. So excited to get back at it here in about 5 weeks.
We noted that, and I guess that what I wanted to ask you was, did you, when you were done with the UFC, did you kind of go through a retirement and did PFL kind of pull you out of it, or did you select on your own to take this time off and just it took a while to get the right opportunity?
No, I was pretty public about my desire to probably hang it up after the UFC because I didn't feel like there were other organizations out there that were going to put you on the same stage. They weren't going to offer you the same kind of economic opportunities. Even though, as UFC fighters, we always complained about how much money we were making, it was still better than the pay scale you were getting elsewhere. And, just I didn't want to go back down the ladder, so to speak. Felt like that was something that, you see a lot of pro athletes do where they hang on a little bit too long. So I was ready to be done, at least I thought. And then after about 6 months, spent more and more time in the gym and watched some of my good buddies still grinding, getting after it and getting that competition, shaking that bug out of their systems. And I started to put out some feelers, and thankfully PFL and Ray Sefo were kind enough to holler at me and see if I wanted to be involved. And it was something that for me, I saw elite fighters in the bracket. I didn't know who everyone was going to be. I mean, I only knew about a few guys, but I thought that those guys were, on par with some of the talent at least I faced in the UFC. And then they dangle that big old $1 million carrot out in front of you. So I signed on the dotted line.
I love it, man. And another thing I love is it's going to be all be done within 6 months. It's not like this is a 2-year thing or even a 1-year thing. In 6 months, someone can be a millionaire. 72 elite MMA fighters, 6 weight classes, 12 per weight class, $10 million on the line in the 2018 season. All right, Goes. What do you have for Sean O'Connell?
Sean, so that time away, what was that like for you? Obviously we all know you have a show here on our network as well, and so you're able to still cover the sport, but what did you do to replace that hunger and that itch that you used to have before with fighting?
There's nothing else that replaces it, and I think that that's one of the challenges as an athlete, challenges as a competitor, that you have to find something that gives you that fix. And I didn't find anything in my 18 or so months away. I watched a lot of fights, obviously, tried to explore some more media opportunities. That's something I've talked about a lot, wanting to get into analyst work or even play-by-play work. And those opportunities are few and far between when you're not a big-name fighter, right? So I was just kind of wondering how I was going to find that thing that'll scratch the itch. And at age 33, when I was done with the UFC, now 34, I felt like that was too young for me to be just riding off into the sunset, because my body's still healthy. Despite my fighting style, I feel like my brain is still 100% functional, and I don't want to be looking back on this when I'm in my 40s and saying, oh my gosh, I had another 3, 4, 5 years left in me, and I just didn't do it because I was lazy, or I didn't do it because I was embarrassed with how my UFC career ended. So I got back on the horse, and I'm sure fighters tell you this all the time, but there really is nothing like winning a fight. I played college football. I played every sport growing up as a kid, and you win and you lose, and you do all that stuff in every sport, but there's nothing as distilled and as pure as fighting, winning and losing. It's like mainlining a drug if you're into drugs. I don't know if that's a correct analogy because I don't do that stuff, but it's
like that, George? Yeah, he's really on something. Depends which drug of mine that all the ones that I abuse that you're talking about goes, but yeah, he's close.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. So trying to find something to replace winning a mixed martial arts bout is damn near impossible.
Hey, Sean, now, on this side, the broadcast side, the media side, is there anything, like one thing that you could maybe point to that you could say, this is something that I learned that will now help me on the fighter side?
Oh, man, that's a great question. I think the outside looking in perspective, for fans, for fighters, for analysts, anything, I don't know if being in the media helps, but being a close observer of fights and actually watching the way things go, because you want to have an informed perspective on after. There's a moment in every fight that the tide changes and that you know where the fight is won or lost. And recognizing those moments as a broadcaster, I think, is important. Recognizing those moments when you're in the cage might be a little bit harder. I mean, there's the obvious, like, knockout punches and things like that, but there are moments in every fight where the tide really turns and where somebody takes over. And if you're in there, you have to know when your moment is happening, and you have to know when your opponent's moment is happening so that you can reverse it. Recognizing those things and having the self-awareness of, like, oh, no, I'm not going to just keep dancing around, or I'm not going to keep slipping punches, or I'm not going to stay here on the bottom because that moment is happening right now where this fight is being decided. I think that's something that when you're observing fights, you learn to recognize maybe even better than when you're in there.
Sean O'Connell, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He is going to be fighting at PFL 2 on June 21st. They'll be doing it on Thursdays, folks. The PFL will be doing that. And again, these are regular season games, or fights, followed by playoffs, where the winner will take $1 million. 6 different weight classes, and it all happens within 6 months. All right, Sean, we also have our fight analyst, Dan Tom, here with us. Dan, what do you have for Sean?
Man, I just want to say I'm excited for Sean O'Connell to come back, because obviously his fighting style is exciting, but for people that aren't aware, Sean has this whole other side about him where what makes me a fan is your ability, Sean, to articulate all these things, and obviously your experience, obviously second to none, just I can only imagine helps that, and I really like what you just said right there. I had a coach, rest in peace, Robert Falls, used to refer to that as putting down the pack, and it's harder to feel when you're in there, whether you're grappling or fighting, obviously even more so, but you kind of feel a guy put down the pack, and man, yeah, I really second what you're saying, but Sean, I wanted to touch on something you said before that about being in your 30s and still feeling in your prime and still feeling like you got a lot left, and that kind of withdrawal, did that kind of mess with you? I mean, whether a fighter's going through injury and they're still active in their career, or we hear it all the time, they stop. Was this something that was really itching at you between these 18 months off, to an uncomfortable point even?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because this sport, more than any other sport, it gets dictated to you when you're done, right? I mean, somebody tells you, they call you up and they say, hey, thanks but no thanks, because you lost 2 in a row or you lost 3 in a row. And that's brutal. That's something that, LeBron James is going to have 2 bad games in the NBA Finals, and no one's going to tell him he shouldn't play basketball anymore or that he's no longer welcome in the NBA. That happens with regularity in the sport of mixed martial arts, and it's the industry standard, and it sucks, and it's shitty, and I don't think it's even really the best business model because, like the UFC, for example, they cut one of their most exciting 205-pound fighters in a weight class where there's just not a lot of appealing names. That's fine. I'm not a big star, but every time I got in there, something exciting happened. Now, occasionally I was on the losing end of those things, but every time I got in there, with the exception of my last fight where I just got worked by Corey Anderson, something exciting happened. And they said, all right, we're done with you now. And as an individual, as an athlete, as a competitor, you have to go back. You got to look all your friends and your family and your coaches in the face, and you got to say, "Yeah, I got beat up, and now they tell me they don't want me anymore."
Right.
And then your friends and your coaches, they say, "Well, yeah, but you got beat up by the number 8 guy in the world, or the number 10 guy in the world, or the number 6 guy in the world, or whatever it is," and you have to say, "Yeah, but that doesn't matter. They don't take that into consideration. They don't care about that." And then they say, "But what about your last fight before that? You should have won that fight, and that was a Fight of the Year candidate." And you say, "Yeah, I agree with you, but they don't care. That doesn't matter." And you have to try not to internalize the message that's coming from the UFC matchmakers, that's coming from the casual fans that don't know who you are and don't care about who you are. You have to try not to internalize the, "You don't matter in this sport anymore. This sport has moved on without you. You shouldn't care because we don't care." It's a hard thing to not internalize that, especially when, the finances are only so much and you got to move on and you got to pay your bills some other way. It's hard to stay focused on the fact that this sport means something to you because it doesn't mean anything to anyone else once the UFC cuts you. No one gives a shit about Sean O'Connell in the MMA world because I'm not in the UFC anymore. I appreciate that. You guys are the rare upper crust of a 1%, right? And I'm totally fine with that. But I have to not internalize, and I think all fighters have to do this, you have to not internalize the message coming from the outside that, yeah, we don't care anymore. I've moved on to something else. I cheer for somebody else. Somebody else is going to do your stupid weigh-in antics, and we don't need you. Well, bullshit. I'm one of the most exciting guys in my weight class in the whole world. I'm one of the most interesting personalities in this sport, in the whole world. And if I can compete at the level on board with my intellect, with my ability to analyze the sport, my ability to articulate the sport and kind of the stories behind it, well, then somebody's going to put me, on as part of their broadcast team, and I'm going to be doing this into my 40s and 50s and 60s. But I have to win, and in order to win, I have to convince myself that I still do matter in the sport. And PFL's given me a chance to do that, and it's going to be an exciting time because I'm not the only one in my bracket or in, all the 6 different weight classes that is in the same boat right now.
Yep, yeah, 100%, Sean, and I think anybody should be able to respect if they've ever put anything into something and have it not go their way. That's why we all should respect the fighters, because what you guys have to put on into what you love is a complete another level, which we could get on about. But just tying things up, rounding it out, the people who do care about you, the people who are in your core and in your corner, who is that? Who are the people you're working with? Because I went to your Instagram and I just saw delicious pictures of food that made me hungry.
Yeah, I need to get better about my Fight World Instagram. No, I've had the same coach long term. Jeremy Horn has been with me since I think my 8th fight is when I finally started training with him, and I'm still with him. My longtime cornerman Liam O'Neill, who's a great friend of mine, damn good welterweight in and of himself. I think he's 9-1 right now in his career, and people should be paying attention to his name. Freak athlete, freakishly strong. I still train with guys like DeMarcus Johnson and Brandon Ruiz and some of those individuals that helped me on the come up. And then, you got a bunch of young guys now that I'm the old man in the gym. I got gray in my beard now. I didn't think that was ever going to happen to me, but now we got some of these 25-year-olds who are the Sean O'Connells of today. That's what I was back in '07 when I started fighting, and they're helping me out too. So, and my family's always behind me. I got a beautiful fiance who pushed me to do this rather than, telling me, oh, no, I'm scared. I don't want anything bad to happen to you. She said, I think you can go win this thing. So my corner stays the same, and I'm lucky for that because I have a support system that doesn't care if I'm winning or losing. They're behind me.
Sean O'Connell, our guest here, he'll be fighting on June 21st, PFL 2. It's a regular season matchup versus Ronny Markes. And Sean also hosts on our channel, Sirius XM Rush 93, MMA Tonight, co-host, I should say, with Miesha Tate, so catch it. I think she's got a few more shows there before that the baby pops out of the oven. Sean, who do you guys have on today?
Let's see. We're going to catch up with Rocky Pennington today. Obviously,
nice.
Talk about the controversy. And then Michael Chiesa, who just had a big fight announced, and also had some pretty strong words about the Rocky Pennington controversy. He's going to join us on the show tonight, so should be a fun one. And yeah, we're trying to keep Miesha as long as we can before that baby takes over her life.
For sure, yeah. Catch it, folks. You'll like it. MMA Tonight is Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 6 to 8 Eastern. Sean is featured with Miesha on Wednesdays. Sean, thanks a lot for the time, man. Really great catching up with you, and good luck on June 21st. We'll be tuning in. We're really excited about PFL and the $1 million tournaments, and hopefully we can do this more often.
Yeah, talk soon, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
All right, we'll see you. All right, folks, we're going to take a break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back, and in the meantime, give Sean a follow on Twitter at RealOC Sports. jewel of the Triple Crown and Saturday's Preakness Stakes. SiriusXM Rush 93's coverage starts Saturday at 10 Eastern with Down the Stretch. Then at 5 Eastern, go live to Baltimore for coverage of the Preakness, Channel 93, and on the SiriusXM app. All right, in just a few minutes, we'll be joined by Cheick Kongo, Bellator heavyweight, who's coming off a big win over Javy Ayala. But right now, we wanted to sneak in our daily debate, brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio team. It's a good one. It's a great fight. Two big names. Let's discuss. How do you see, guys, Dustin Poirier versus Eddie Alvarez 2 playing out? Alvarez via stoppage, Alvarez via decision, Poirier via stoppage, Poirier via decision. I'll tell you the results of what Junkie Nation, our listeners, and our readers thought, but I want you guys to go first. Dan, how about you?
This is a tough one. I haven't picked against Dustin Poirier on this recent run. I think he's been doing great. He's been showing up to all the fights, winning fights, whether the odds makers are on his side tentatively or not. But man, maybe it's recent interviews with Eddie Alvarez. I'll give more of a detailed lean when my breakdown comes out. But I'm actually leaning toward Alvarez right now. I think Poirier was winning their first fight. I think he was countering him well. But if anything, Alvarez has shown the ability to adjust, come back, win rematches, and he has that just grizzled veteran dog where he can make those adjustments. He's seen everything. He's not going to be shaken. Can he do it? That remains to be seen. But my early lean, Alvarez toward decision.
Goes?
For me, it depends on what the talk is like weeks and months before the fight. If they're going to walk up to each other and just be like, hey, we had a great fight, it's great to fight you again, then I think I'm going to lean more towards Alvarez. But if they get a little street in there, there's something in Dustin Poirier that comes out, and you don't want to mess with that guy. So I would say if that happens, I would go with Poirier by decision, though.
Alvarez by decision, Poirier by decision. I disagree with both of you. Because
draw?
I think it's going to be a stoppage. I just have yet to tell you my answer. I thought, Poirier was that should have been his fight to win.
Mm-hmm.
But when the tide turned, had he not thrown the illegal knee, which wound up being a no contest, I mean, it had the back and forth feel that you can't ever just call it a slam dunk. But let's just say we remove the knee and just look at the body of the fight. I like the work that Poirier was doing. Very astute to note that Alvarez is able to leave what's in the past and adjust going forward. He's with a great camp that does that, and he's got an honest assessment of himself. I really thought Alvarez wasn't going to be the same after what Conor did. Even though it wasn't the worst beatdown, it was more like mentally and psychologically. How do you come back from that? One of the biggest cards of the year, the history that took place, and it was at your expense. But he did, man. He did, and he looked nice. One thing I'm concerned about, he seems to have let his weight really go further than it normally has. He was talking about being like 40 pounds past the weight mark. I mean, hey, don't get too sloppy and don't take too much time off because you got a killer on your hands. That slight leaning has me at Poirier via stoppage. The results, 53% said Poirier via stoppage. In second place, Alvarez via stoppage. And then 16% had Poirier via decision and Alvarez via decision. So it was pretty close, pretty spread out from numbers 2 to 4, but over 50% thought Poirier via stoppage was what they were going to go with. It all takes place in July. It's going to be a big Fox card, and I can't wait for it. Thank you to the 1,159 of you that voted. All right, that's our daily debate for today. And Danny, you tell me how we looking with our final guest of the program.
He is there and ready.
All right, he's there. He's ready to go. And you can follow him on Twitter at Kongo for real, Kongo, the number 4, and then the word real. He is coming off a highlight reel stoppage at Bellator 199 this past Saturday. He disposed of Javy Ayala in the first round. He joins us now on MMA Junkie Radio. What's up, Cheick Kongo? How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much.
Awesome, man. Well, great fight this past Saturday. It only went about 2.5 minutes, but I'll tell you what, it was a beautiful finish. It was a beautiful sequence. Javy came at you, and you were ready for it. And so in a counter strike that you delivered, you delivered a powerful right hand and put him down with some nice follow up. You did it after some extended time off, and you did it with a lot of people doubting your abilities at age 43. How good does that feel?
I feel really good. The thing is, I'm very happy because, first of all, I had the time, to prepare pretty well for this this fight. And and the thing is, it seems like my youngest came back. It was just like, wow, So I wasn't surprised. I was just surprised about the way the fight used to go really easy, because I felt really good. I prepared this fight, with a really good and great guy. So that's why somewhere, it seems like, wow, even myself, I'm just impressed, because since the last few fights I used to do with Bellator, I wasn't really happy for the performance, but I used to realize at the end that I didn't get the time to train properly. So, and now, I can see, the difference when you have time to prepare and when you're not time. So that's good.
Cheick,
really good.
Is that a sequence that you specifically trained for, something that you saw when studying Javy Ayala, or was that just natural instinct? Because you slipped it perfectly enough. You kept your eyes open in the middle of that firefight, and then boom! I mean, you didn't even have to extend your right hand. It looked like what it would have been was a straight right. It wasn't even like a hook or anything, which a lot of you like to counter with a counter hook. But you still had so much power that you put him down, and then of course the follow-up. But how much went into just that sequence alone with your preparation, or was it just more what happened instinctually?
Well, that's the thing is, that's what happened instantly. But also, I used to get also some guys used to duplicate, the same fight skill than Javier.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, somewhere, I was kind of prepared. I didn't expect, how I should move and how it would be, because I didn't like to watch my opponents when I used to get a preparation. So I let all my team and my sparring partner, acting as my opponent. So for me, just the fact to see him in a fight was just like another colleague, sparring partners try to put me down, try to improve me, but the difference was to release, the power. Even on the power, I was just surprised because I didn't punch it really hard. Mm-hmm. So for sure, the move was good, to cover, on the right overhand, and at the time, just at the same time, skip and throw the right hand. So yeah. At the time, what I should say more than that, I don't know.
Cheick Kongo, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio, he's 28-10-2 overall, and he's coming off a highlight reel KO over Javy Ayala this past Saturday at Bellator 199. That's 6 in a row for the big man, including wins over Javy Ayala, Tony Johnson. You guys know I really like Tony Johnson. That's a difficult fighter to defeat. Alexander Volkov also part of that streak, and of course he's enjoying a nice streak of himself over at UFC. We talked about that earlier. So some quality opponents here in that streak. Over 1 year, just over a year, I think, is where you were from your last fight. Just under a year is what I'm trying to say. And everything looked great. Now, I already put you at 43. I apologize. You're 42, but you'll be 43 tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. So happy early birthday. And so, Cheick, so what I want to ask you is, it now, from what we're reading, is you want to await the winner of the Grand Prix. But that would put you towards the end of the year. Do you want to have another layoff that long? Or are you willing to take a fight in between? Or, sorry for the longest question ever, or are you willing to be an alternate in case somebody gets injured along the way?
At the time, for sure, it would be great for me, to be one of the alternate fighters. But it seems like, I used to jump in the mix right away. So I'm going to be patient, for sure. I will wait, and between those times, hopefully, I will face, somebody else. But for some reason, it should be too easy to put me in the mix and just say, okay, you know what, we didn't get a chance, so save the tournament and fight for the belt. Fight for the belt.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, if it was that way, I used to put, from the beginning right away into it. So the fact to keep me away and thinking about, okay, what to do, and also if I used to hear about the comment of the commentator on the fight was pretty bad. The thing is, since the last few fights, didn't get time, to prepare. And usually, no matter what, I don't care because I'm not here to talk about it, looking for excuses. But my will is to win the fight no matter what. And if I didn't get the time, I have to preserve myself. I can go like crazy and and be, I don't know, probably reducing, my potential of win. So I got focused to win. I won. And now the thing is, people are thinking about me now to put me in the tournament. That's good, but they should do it way before. Not thinking like, oh, okay, now he's good. No. So I will wait. I don't know how long, but for sure, in the mix, by the next 3 months, I will be back, in the cage, and that's it.
Were you disappointed that you weren't asked to be in the tournament?
Oh, for sure. The thing is, when you try to be dedicated, and do your best to win, to stay in the rank, and after that, somebody used to scream everywhere like, yes, I'm number one, I'm number one, but he didn't do shit. He got really lucky, to do a really good performance against Fedor, but at the end, he have a lot to prove. So, so what I should say, the thing is, if somebody used to fight for the belt, probably this guy and me, or somebody else. Even, when I used to fight Anthony Johnson, so it was normally that fight should be for the fight, and after that probably make a tournament or so to determine who's gonna be the next guy to face the champ, and after that, be crowned after the tournament. But he wasn't. So
right. All right, Cheick, do you mind if we keep you on just a couple more minutes? We have a few more questions for you.
Sure.
Okay, just making sure. Folks, we're joined by Cheick Kongo. We are going to do a couple minutes of overtime here. I just want to let the SiriusXM audience know that we will be joining you tomorrow with another show, again, at our normal time. If you missed any part of the show, you can catch us on the SiriusXM app. And, of course, there's replays at 8 p.m. Eastern and the following day at 7 a.m. Eastern. So it's the MMA Junkie Radio Show on SiriusXM Rush 93. Now we're going to do a little bit of overtime on youtube.com/MMA Junkie Video, where you can catch all the shows, as well as facebook.com /official MMA Junkie. We'll continue here with Cheick Kongo in about 15 seconds. We're just going to exit out here with our SiriusXM audience. So stay close. We'll be here with some overtime.
Viva Las Vegas with your neon flashing and your one-armed bandits crashing all those hopes down the drain. Viva Las Vegas turning day into nighttime, turning night into daytime. If you see it once, you'll never be the same again.
You guys clear for overtime?
All right, let me turn it over to the co-hosts here. Goes and Dan have a couple questions for Cheick Kongo, but I do want to point out Cheick in his career, he has 2 wins that are of note in relation to this tournament. Mitrione is regarding him as the #1 ranked guy in the tournament. Cheick has a win over him, and Mirko Cro Cop, who's fighting Roy Nelson, this is regarded as an alternate match out at Bellator 200. He has a win over Mirko Cro Cop as well. Sean Jordan, he's part of the PFL $1 million tournament. He's beaten him. Decorated former kickboxer Pat Barry, he had a career in mixed martial arts with the UFC. They had a great fight out in Pittsburgh. And then Alexander Volkov, who's streaking right now for the UFC. So nice career that and career wins that you've been able to accumulate along the way, Cheick. I got to bring that up. All right. Goes, what do you have for Cheick Kongo?
So, Cheick, as far as the tournament's concerned, is there a particular fighter, a name that you hope comes out of the tournament so that you could test your skills against that person?
The thing is, for sure, as a fighter, the way to improve, fight after fight, is to face the one or somebody who can put you in trouble, and that's what I used to do since the beginning, Ring of the Ring. When I used to do the Muay Thai, when I went to UFC, and now in Bellator. I used to fail, 2 times in Bellator, unfortunately. So for sure, I I have many things to say about it, but I show up, I fought no matter what, and win or lose, I did. So, but at the time, I don't care. The good thing is probably fighting, some guys, I didn't get the chance to express myself. For sure, for the view and for the entertainment, it's gonna be good to fight Krokop, Ryan Nelson, Evan Frankmere, so that's great, but at the time, I have anything in mind. The thing is, no matter what, I used to show up, about which one I used to be proposed to fight. So
the guys that are left though are Fedor Emelianenko, Chael Sonnen, Ryan Bader, and who am I missing, guys? Who am I missing now?
Sonnen, Bader, Mitrione.
Mitrione. So of those four, of those four, you've already fought one. But do you have a preference of who wins the tournament so that you can face them? I think that's what you were asking, right? Gus?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. I think that's the best option for
Fedor?
me.
That would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be a great fight to watch. All right.
Cheick, can you kind of maybe share with us, because you've been doing this for so long, and you don't show that you're slowing down at all. You always come in prepared. You look in great shape. What's the secret? Like what is it that you do that other fighters maybe don't do that you feel gets you in this position?
Thank you for the question. So the thing is, I just realized when I was in UFC and I used to do 2 fights. One fight I won the fight by surprising tap out when I used to fight Paul Bontello, and right away I fought Travis Browne, and during those fights, I didn't know, but I used to get some symptom on the first fight about Bontello. I broke my vertebrae, but I didn't know.
Wow.
It was broken. I used to get some symptom like this, and it gets worse. And during the fight with Travis Browne, so that's where people used to think like, oh, he cut weight or he did a really good preparation. Because when I show up on the weigh-in, people was impressed, about the shape and blah blah blah. But during that time, I used to lose many weight. Loss of weight, loss of pounds, sorry. So, and I used to fight, usually I used to be around the 234, 238, and for that fight, I dropped to 228. So it was the consequence, about the vertebrae broken. Also, at the same time, I teared my shoulder ligament on both shoulders, and the rotator cuff. So, but I didn't know. So the thing is, with the adrenaline, and I was thinking about, I probably trained, so that's why I used to get those pains, But the thing is, I had a really good high tolerance of pain, so that's the reason, I wasn't that much, in that, I couldn't find out, what it was. Was the thing, bother me, but not enough. So anyway, and when I went back, I find out, this company in France from physical therapist, using the Descartes therapy, and I use the Descartes therapy to heal and avoiding surgeries. That's pretty impressive and surprising, because how you can fix a broken bone, torn and tear ligament, rotator cuff, without adding the surgery to fix that. Because for sure in America, everybody used to, all the doctors love cutting patients. And that's the therapy I use. I spent exactly 7 months, and I healed. So that's the reason also when I came back, I fought Pat Barry. And for some reason, that fight was more than, for me, that fight is not for me the best comeback. My best comeback ever is to come back, from surgery. Because normally I was supposed to be retired. If I used to get the surgery, I was supposed to be done with the fight. I was supposed to spend 5 years between surgery on the lower back, on one shoulder, then the other one, and the rehabilitation. So and spend the 5 years spending, with the toe surgery, I just spent 7 months. So I came back like crazy, and I'm blessed. You know, I'm so thankful, and I can't tell more than what it is. Thank you for my physical therapist and for the guys, you know, create that device. And from that, you know, I used to be in touch with the company in France, and today, you know, I represent this company here in America. So that's Winback Picard Therapy, Winback, and that's what I use all the time, you know, when I used to get injured. So the funny part of this is the recovery is pretty fast compared to any kind of type of therapy like stem cells and all the stuff like invasive, you know. So the therapy is non-invasive and natural for the body, and increase the recovery by 3-4 times. So in California, so we have like a few centers, few clinics using the device. Picard, so the salon cryotherapy, Dr. Kessler, Ossified.com, HB Ultimate Center. So those guys, you know, over there use that device and have the clinics over there. Also, I have the clinic Last Cup, you know, in LA, Los Angeles. So that's where I'm using and doing all the treatments I need, you know, to get back in shape.
Gotcha.
So and that's the thing, you know. So what else, you know, what's more I can tell more than that, you know, that's the kind of therapy everywhere in the world, you know, especially for all the athletes, you know, use that, you know, for us, a soccer player, basketball player, many athletes all over the world. So, especially, and the technology is more well known in Europe, but now, you know, I used to introduce people here in America to be more familiar with the device in Canada. So, and that's the way. So that's honestly today, that's one of the best therapy, you know, ever. You know, and I'm coming back with new futures, but the thing is great, you know, and many guys used to call me to get some treatments, you know, and I would say many names, but I don't need to do that because, you know, the device talks by itself. So.
All right, Dan Tom, what do you have for Cheick Kongo?
You know, Kongo is actually responsible for one of the funniest MMA memories I've seen outside of a cage. And this actually took place, I believe, right here in Vegas. I want to say at the Fashion Show Mall. It was when Kongo, I believe, when you were hanging out with the Wolf Slayer guys, and Paul Kelly seemed to be walking by himself in the Nordstroms at the Fashion Show Mall, and out of nowhere comes a Cheick Kongo. I don't know if people can still find this online, and he leg kicks him in the middle of public and just no-sells it and walks off. And it's great. You see people's reaction. They don't know what. Kongo, do you know what I'm talking about here?
Yeah, yes, because you know what, that's so funny, because we were talking about that, we were talking about Paul Kelly, and that's one of my great friends, you know, I miss so much. So the reason I kick him, because people used to think, oh, Cheick Kongo is a bully, but I'm not. So we used to play games, you know, and during the week of the fight, you know, so we went to the restaurant, and many times, I can't tell, but it was several times. Paul used to mess with my lunch, my dinner, throwing salt, dust, you know, crazy thing in my meals all the time. And I was like, Paul, please stop. You're gonna pay for that. He was like, yeah, you would do shit. And all the time he was doing, you know, just like a little brother. So, and all the time he was mess with me, and I was like, you know what, you will see. And I find out the best opportunity, and one of the coach, Dave Jackson, got the reflex to get that moment, you know, in memories for life. And yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, was it in Vegas or was it at South Coast Plaza in Costa Mesa?
No, it was in Vegas.
Oh, it was in Vegas. Okay. Yeah, man, that was a solid kick.
That was years ago, but I swear to you, I probably see it at least once a month and just laugh. Over and over.
Well, I walk through that mall, and every time I walk through that mall, that same mall, I look around for a Cheick Kongo just to make sure he's not going to come out of nowhere and just tag me. Yeah. But Kongo, one last thing I wanted to ask you. You know, with all the experience, I feel like I could ask you many things. But you said you wanted to keep busy. Now, do you keep tabs on the Bellator heavyweight roster? And do you maybe look at maybe heavyweight, free agents that could possibly end up in Bellator? I guess what I'm asking is there any names in the MMA universe out there that are floating around outside of the tournament that Cheick Kongo wants next?
Honestly, the thing is, the good thing is about that should be some guys, to the rival company. But at the time, I already proposed, never to come back, but we didn't get agree for the term. So I will wait. The thing for sure, when I mean I will wait. For sure, as you said, and tomorrow I will turn 43. I can fight for life. But I will use the passion and the ability to keep fighting, as much as I can. So I can tell, if I can keep that will on forever, but for sure, for some reason, everything has to stop. But yeah, the thing is, if I had the time, and the opportunity to fight somewhere else, I will. But today, I'm going to be focused for what I'm doing, and we will see. Yeah.
What are you doing for your birthday tomorrow?
Tomorrow I'm doing shit.
Just hanging out at home?
No. I just plan to relax, on the beach, So
you're out in California, right?
I got that. No, so right now I'm in Texas.
Oh, Texas. Okay, is that where you live now?
Yeah, I'm living on both sides, Texas and California.
Oh, and what beach do you go to in Texas? What area?
So hold on, now I'm gonna go fly over the state, so I'm going to Miami exactly.
Oh, nice, Cheick Kongo. Good job. That's a nice place to hang out for a few days. And you deserve it because that was a great win this past Saturday night. So thank you very much for the chat. Hopefully we get to talk to you before your next fight, and maybe it'll be for a title. Who knows? You definitely have gotten a lot of great wins along the career, and I know Bellator is going to want to, once they crown a champion, they're going to want that champion to start defending. So hopefully you get your shot at that. So thank you very much for the time here on MMA Junkie Radio.
Well, thank you for your time, and thank you for having me on your show.
Okay, take care, Cheick.
Have a good day, guys.
All right, you too.
Thank you.
Bye. Follow him on Twitter, folks, at Kongo for Real. And that concludes today's show. I want to thank our team here, all of them electing to obviously stay some OT to make you all happy. 3 guests to thank for their time: Cheick Kongo, Sean O'Connell, and Andre Harrison. Big thanks to Greg Savage from the PFL for setting up the Harrison interview. O'Connell and Kongo come courtesy of old GG here. And tomorrow we are going to have Michael Venom Page. He will be a guest of ours tomorrow. We're also going to have a co-host for part of the show. I'm talking to him right now. The Cuban Missile Crisis is coming back.
Oh, yeah? Hey. It's fun.
He's going to be on the show tomorrow. Michael Page, still working on another name. Turning towards Friday, we'll have Andrew Simon, Ton Lee, who will be headlining their 400th show on Access TV. It'll be upcoming LFA show. I think it's LFA 30 they're at. Macy Barber, big name for them as well. 4-0. Think Sabina Mazzo along the lines of that. Just a young 19-year-old lady. Young lady who's just starching people, and she's actually going to turn 20. She's going to join us on her birthday. So we'll be talking to her. And then Big Country, Roy Nelson, who in about 10 days or so will be out in the UK headlining Bellator 200 versus Mirko Cro Cop. So it should be a fun way to end the week. All right, folks, we are out of here. Once again, don't forget about the World MMA Awards. The Junkie family got lucky enough to be nominated for Best Media Source. That's for Junkie. Best MMA Programming. That's for us, Junkie Radio. And one of our colleagues, John Morgan, is up against 4 others in the Best Journalist category. So we would appreciate your vote. Go to worldmmaawards.com and support the Junkie team. We are out of here. Go out there, folks, and be a champion.